So we know that for Wellington City, there are really two main things that cause global carbon emissions, for example, in Wellington City.
Yeah.
The two main things are actually transport and stationary buildings like this, and the use of energy in these buildings. There's waste as well, but it's not as big as transport is the big one.
Transport is the big one.
Yeah. For Wellington, about half of our emissions come from transport.
I would agree with that.
Mostly from burning fossil fuel. About 40% come from buildings like this, stationary energy. And the remainder is mostly waste and a couple of other bits and pieces in there. So for our city, if we're going to make a fundamental difference, we have to change the way that we move around the city.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the main way we currently move around the city, like it or not, is the motor car.
Yeah, and it occupies a lot of land in terms of infrastructure use.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Something like 40% of our public land is taken up with cars, be it parking primarily.
Right. Yeah, and temporarily at that, so they're empty half the day.
So our cars are actually only productive 5% or less actually of their lives. So it actually doesn't make sense philosophically, but this is one area where we can actually make a change.
Yeah.
So the changes we need to make is getting out of our cars into public transport, active transport such as cycling and walking, and indeed getting out of our petrol vehicles into electric vehicles.
And I think that's for me the big problem, that it's actually about life change. If you think we are living in effectively more than one planet's worth of resources, we can't sustain that forever. That is a non-sustainable position. I mean, living in Wellington, we're using more than our fair share of the Earth's resources. We know that. And in fact, it's been shown that cities have a much bigger sort of ecological footprint in terms of the land that they occupy from where the resources come than actually living in rural areas. So the fact that population is urbanising on a global basis should be of real concern, because it will push up our resource use.
Along with population growth.
Along with population growth, we have a lot of problems.
Population growth is probably the biggest...
Population is the biggest problem. People are the biggest problem. It means more cars are purchased,
more
and more miles are driven,
dairy,
more kilometres driven, more dairy. So all the wrong things are done.
If we can deal with plastic bags, for example, then why can't we deal with more substantive and substantial issues? And the answer is there is no reason that we can't.
So why can't we keep cars out of the city? Why can't we make Wellington a real walkable place? I mean, as a pedestrian in Wellington, I am a third-class citizen. I have to wait while the cars go past. I wait in the rain on the edge of the road while the cars go past. And you think, this is the wrong way around.
In this country, we are still in love with a motor car. We are still in love with a motor car. Even as a country, I mean, I'm a pedestrian too, but I like it or not, we have to concede that the motor car, we still design cities around motor cars.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? And that's not being sustainable, because if we look 50 years hence, we will not have those cars in our cities because we haven't got the fuels to.
No, we might have light rail.
Well, light rail is different. If we have trams going through the middle of Wellington, fantastic.
Yeah, you'd be aware that is part of our
We're then in a European city.
Not easy though, because from a sustainability point of view, whilst it might be fantastic from a livability point of view, if you look at what our sea level is going to do in the next 50 years, if you look at where we think the ground's going to shake next time we have an earthquake, and then you try and design, you look at our already highly congested infrastructure services around the city, and then try and design a light rail system that doesn't compromise one or all of those things. It's very, very difficult and very, very expensive. Engineering certainly helps to build, and good planning actually definitely helps to build resilience and sustainability, but at the end of the day, it requires a change in people's behaviour as well. Yeah.
What we really need, whether we live in cities or in rural areas, it's actually how do you live your life that becomes the critical.
You think it's not us that's going to live with the consequences of what's happening now.
I know that.
So what we're finding with the climate change discussions is that for the first time ever, the Wellington City Council policies, we're getting youth involved and engaged, because they can see how the decisions we take today will affect them and their children. So we actually think that we're a bit of a watershed with respect to our planning and community engagement, and that it's actually led by climate. Climate change is the issue, as the Prime Minister says, it is the issue of our time. So I think it's really got some traction with younger people and universities, and we're really encouraged by that. Really
I mean,
positive.
my students last semester in their design project in Cuba Street said, okay, all the land taken up by cars, 2050, no cars, it'll only be electric bicycles and bicycles in the city. And that was how they did their design. And I thought, yeah, that they're right, that they're actually understanding the consequences and designing for those consequences. And that's really what the future vision needs to be. But it is a vision. I think if you've got a vision, it's much easier to say, okay, this is how it's going to be.
So we just got to look up and out sometimes and see what others have achieved, and there's no reason we can't do stuff here in New Zealand. After all, we reckon we're the ones with the number 8 wire can get stuff done. So
yeah, that's right. And as you say, we're adaptable and resourceful. All we need is a little push.
That's right. When we had the earthquake, the kōrero earthquake here in Wellington, we had to close a couple of streets off. And the traffic engineers were worried that this would be Armageddon in terms of not being able to drive your car, and actually it never happened. It was perfectly, we kind of people adapted, and it wasn't an issue at all. And then I start thinking about, there's a town in a city in Vietnam called Hoi An, where between the hours of, I think, 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. cars are banished, and those little motorbikes actually. When they're out of there, it's awful, but when they're gone, it's just this feeling of serenity and peace, and people flock to it.
Absolutely.
And then I was in Mexico earlier this year. Mexico City, they do the same thing every Sunday. The Central Park it bans cars completely.
No cars. Yeah.
We did it once in Wellington. The World Cup in 2011. There was the weekend when we had 2 quarterfinals. We closed Courtney Place. It was a big drama because we had to take down the trolley wires for the electric buses, which isn't an issue anymore. But actually, the feeling on Courtney Place that day, that's Saturday and Sunday actually, was fantastic. There were families walking around. There was a real sense of community.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the food trucks came out, and it kind of often crossed my mind that why don't we do that on a regular basis? And now that we don't have the trolley wires, we probably could.
We could probably do it.
Yeah. So that's something.
But it's part of that future vision, and I think that's how you sell it to people. You say, okay, let's think about a city without cars. What would it be like? And isn't this what we mean by being sustainable?
There's no easy answer. One of the things that worries me about the SDG is that it's so high level and aspirational as to be almost like a commandment out of the Bible, if you like. It's almost unachievable.
I think it's unachievable. I don't think you can actually have all those things and still live within the resources of the earth. Not with this many people.
So they're noble aspirations, but say we're going to eradicate poverty, for example. That's fantastic if we could. But in my lifetime, having kind of lived in East Africa in Asia for a long time, I just don't see us eradicating poverty, especially when we can't actually determine exactly what poverty is in terms of measuring. So
I think we could safely say that us in the developed world have too much. But it's hard to determine whether some people actually have too little. I can think of certain tribes in Indonesia who don't want anything to do with modern society, who you could say were very poor, but they would think were very rich because they're actually living in harmony
with
their environment. Yeah. That's what they want to do.
There is another index, I'm not sure what its academic term is, called the happiness index.
I know the happiness index.
And when we force ourselves to stop and think about it, that's actually what we all aspire to as human beings, is self-actualisation, if you like, or happiness, I suppose. And yet there is no correlation between wealth and happiness. It's a complete myth.
And as you say, often if you look at some of the poorer families or some of the poorer societies, and I'm thinking of people, a family in India, who would say they were actually really happy, but they grow their own food. Leisure is talking to families in the street after work. And the high point is actually everybody bringing a potluck supper, so that you eat different food, and that's the high point of the week. But they would say that they were happy, but their resources take is probably below, again, a fair ratio.
And carbon footprint is probably
way carbon footprint is way down, and their ecological footprint is down.
I think if I was speaking to a bunch of young students who are learning and are keen to make a difference, if you find yourself in a leadership role, go for it. Absolutely make the best of the opportunity that you get. I think you've got obligation to do that.
I think that's true. The only other thing I would add to that is we need to understand the enormity of the problem. That it's not just plastic bags. It is a really difficult problem with a lot of people on a very limited planet.
Yep. And you can't solve it all at once, but you can solve it a little bit at a time.
You can solve it a little bit at a time, and everybody has got a responsibility in part of that solution. I think that's what's so powerful.
All right.
Well, it's been great to talk to you.
Very nice to meet you,
Thank
Brenda.
you so much.
No doubt we'll see you around the main streets of Wellington.
I hope so.
Cheers.
Trying to cross the road.